Hi, welcome to Race House with me, Joe Lee.
And me, Darren Reeves.
Yes, we know it's been a while since the last episode, but I have been a bit poorly, and apologies for that to everyone out there. But we are back, and wow, we've got lots of stuff to catch up on. Firstly, congratulations to McLaren, back-to-back constructors, with 6 races left to go in the season. Phenomenal for them. They had a massive payday. I think about $161 million. I think 50 million went to Zach Brown. So he's good.
Wow.
He's a happy guy.
I would
it's
be.
all been, yeah, well, that's it,
Yeah,
and Oscar
yeah.
and Lando have been doing amazingly well until this weekend. We'll come to that soon, but let's go back in time.
Yep.
Darren, Azerbaijan, Monza even. I mean, what do you remember about Monza?
Well, do you know what? We've all been watching McLaren 1-2s. McLaren 1-2. Is Oscar going to win? Is Lando going to win? We've seen Oscar have momentum ever since China. We then go to Zandvoort, which I'm just going to drop in there after the summer break, where Lando had a DNF, his car, first mechanical failure. DNF, Piastri wins it, 25 points. What chance has Lando got? We also see Max Verstappen, 104 points behind Piastri in the championship. No chance.
He's never going to catch up.
No. Anyway, Monza, Max Verstappen wins. Lando second, Piastri third. Okay? That's important, that list. All right? We then go to Azerbaijan and we see Oscar crash in qualifying. Crashes out. And we're like, what on earth? This is the first mistake we've seen from the young Australian in his 3rd season of Formula One. He has been Mr. Ice Cool, right? He only crashes out on lap 1 of the race as well. Different corner, but similar.
Awful.
Similar mistake. Max Verstappen goes on and wins. George Russell second, but an amazing Carlos Sainz on the podium for Williams. You know, I love the Williams lineup of Albon and Sainz this season. I feel sorry for Sainz losing his race seat to Hamilton, but I think Carlos Sainz deserves that podium at Azerbaijan.
Amazing.
I love the track. Joe, you and I have both said one day we need to go and do Azerbaijan together, and we will. I need to get my kids out of school first, but we will make it happen. They're not going to be there forever. We've just had my eldest 18th, so we're ticking them off now one by one as quick as possible. So, Joe, that was Azerbaijan. Then we go to Singapore, one of my favourite places to visit. I was there New Year's Eve last year, walking around the track, kissing the tarmac on the Anderson Bridge.
Can you get arrested for that? Yeah, maybe, I don't know. You get arrested for
not at all.
Singapore.
Got to be careful not to kiss my wife on the Anderson Bridge, but I can kiss the tarmac. Yeah, and that's not a euphemism, by the way. And, so anyway, and we see George Russell go and get another random win. He won in Canada, but they seem to come out of the blue, just track specific helping. But Max Verstappen comes second with Lando Norris third. Piastri a little bit further back. And everything's starting to tighten up, Joe. And this is what we're seeing. Max Verstappen has scored 119 points out of 133 available since Monza. How has that happened?
It's impressive. I mean, we wrote Red Bull off earlier in the season. Adrian Newey is gone. Christian Horner got fired. Yep. The place has been gutted with engineers leaving left, right, and centre. And somehow, and Yuki's not doing great. Where is this coming from?
Well, I think it's quite obvious that the appointment of Lauren Mekies, who's from a technical background, as opposed to Christian Horner, which is more marketing and being the front man, has definitely brought in some logic and some calmness to the Red Bull stable. And we're seeing a more drivable car. We're seeing Yuki Tsunoda now starting to score some points. It's unthinkable to think a Red Bull is constantly out of the points. Whether it's in the hands of Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, and previously Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, the list is endless, Daniel Kvyat. All these teammates that Max Verstappen has outshone massively. We now have and I think it's in the aerodynamics of the car. I think the car's a bit more stable, a bit more easier to drive. Max was driving the socks off a very unstable car. Not many drivers can do that. Probably no other driver could do that. So, and we've now seen that in Monza. We've seen him second in Azerbaijan and second in Singapore, winning Azerbaijan. I can't even say it, and Monza. We've just seen a massive resurgence of Max Verstappen with a more easier to drive, calmer Red Bull world.
Maybe that's it, and maybe they've just got all behind. I mean, maybe it is that calmness that Meekes has brought. I don't know. He was at Racing Bull before, and didn't have like the best success, but
I think he took that team forward a bit, Joe. And if you look in the constructors now, I think you'll see they're sat just behind Williams, best of the rest, aren't they? I think they're only a couple of points off Aston
sixth.
Martin. Yeah, I think that's
okay. I stand corrected, actually. Okay, he did okay. Compared to Alpine, who are still on 20 points.
Flavio, what? God. Honestly, mate.
Will someone not rid me of this man?
Yeah. So, but mate, that's looking back at the races that we have just debriefed. But this weekend we saw COTA, Circuit of the Americas.
Incredible.
And I'm there going, who's going to win? Is it Lando? Is it Oscar? Or is Max going to win again? Are we now going to see Max Verstappen win every race till the end of the season?
It is mathematically possible. He could win his 5th title. I think he would be the first driver to win 5 consecutive titles. Is that right?
Yep. No other. I would have to look back at Fangio, how he went about his 5.
I was thinking
obviously, Max. Michael
Lewis
Schumacher.
did he?
No. Lewis didn't. Lewis did a 4 and a 3. But Michael Schumacher, 2000, 2001, 2003, 2002, 2003. No, and then Alonso did 2004, 2005, didn't he? No, Schumacher's got 7. He must have had 5 in a row. 2000, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now.
Yeah, and then Alonso won 2005, 2006.
So he would equal Schumacher. Yes. So Schumacher did 94, 95, 2000, 2001, 2000. Yeah, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Testing me again, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So he would equal Michael Schumacher. Yeah. Wow, that'd be fantastic.
Which Lewis Hamilton hasn't done. So there's another stat. Stats can be however you twist them, but you're always looking to stand out.
Lou's got enough stats. I mean, he's 8 times world champion, so he's done it right. Oh, sorry, pardon me, slip. I was there anyway. Mercedes, actually, let's talk about Lewis's old team. George Russell has really been pretty consistent.
He's been brilliant.
I really enjoyed his performances. He's been so good. He's 4th at the championship at the moment. Mercedes are clinging on to 2nd, mainly because it's kind of a bit like Max. It's a one-driver team at the moment. Antonelli is not having the great season at all. Ferrari and the constructors are coming up, so is Red Bull. So it really is that fight for 2nd. And I think Ferrari could actually pip them because they've got 2 drivers usually getting 3rd, 4th, 5th. Lewis is resurged. Looks pretty strong. I think he came 4th in this race. He was really fighting with Leclerc as well. So there's a lot of spirit in him.
Well, it was weird with Ferrari because this weekend in America, they were nowhere on Friday. And then there they are in the sprint race fighting over 4th and 5th. And Lewis even overtook Leclerc. And then in the race on Sunday, there they were finishing 3rd and 4th. And really solid. Lewis seems to now starting to settle into Maranello. And the same way with Antonelli. He started off all right, young kid, 17-year-old, whatever age is, and just getting out there and doing it. But it's tough. This is Formula One. You cannot expect Antonelli to be consistent all season. It doesn't matter what car he's driving. It takes time just to settle and get used to the world of Formula One. So all these rookies, Bortoletto, I think he's had a much better season than we were expecting, but you can't expect it every weekend. But Oliver Bearman as well seems to be outscoring Esteban Ocon really well now, as in recently, not in the championship. He's still below him in the championship, but he's really consistent now. And I I think he's doing a great job. So these rookies, I think, with Antonelli, give them a chance. With the likes of Piastri in his third season, I think McLaren have got such a strong lineup. It's unbelievable. And I think Ferrari are the same.
Apart from when McLaren take each other out in the sprint race, which is the the number one golden rule of F1.
Well, there's been consequences is the word of this weekend, I would say, from where Lando went to avoid Verstappen in Singapore and clipped Piastri's front wing, got a bit of damage, and Piastri wanted to get the place back and Lando didn't. I think we're on for a massive fight now, but it was like, right, Lando's going to have consequences for that action. Well, whose fault was the sprint race collision at turn 1? Was it Piastri? Was it Hülkenberg? Was it Alonso? It certainly wasn't Lando Norris's fault, that's for sure. And he was the one that suffered worst when it wasn't his fault at all. DNF. I know it's only a sprint race, but he would have been nailed on first or second for that race, so another 7 points. I think Piastri cut in aggressively into Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg had nowhere to go because he had Alonso on his inside, which caused Piastri to bounce in the air and ricochet into Lando. I think there should be consequences. But, a lot of the commentators were blaming Hülkenberg for being too deep. I think Piastri cut in too sharp, and I think he took a big risk. I think Piastri is panicking because he's got Lando and now Max Verstappen breathing down his neck. And Piastri has no experience of this. He's still only in his third season. Lando's now in his seventh season with McLaren. I got to be honest with you. I think Zach Brown at some point will put his cards into Lando's hands and say, guys.
But hold on. I think McLaren has always been Team Lando.
I know,
just don't feel the support for Oscar at all.
I agree. I think Oscar is Team Webber. I think Lando is Team McLaren, and I think Max is Team Red Bull. But now they've got the Red Bull breathing down their neck in this championship. They could both lose this championship to Max Verstappen.
They've got to decide very quickly who is the number one driver. You're right, because at the moment, Max Verstappen's key ally are basically these two squabbling. But McLaren needs to choose a favourite. It's kind of like having... do you remember Pop Idol, the first season? When
I do. Will Young versus Gareth Gates.
Yeah, Will Young went to win it, but the Simon Cowell and all the team were behind Gareth Gates. He was probably the bit prettier, bit spunkier hair, all that kind of stuff. More easy on the eye for the girls. Well, they were all backing Gareth Gates. I think they signed the contract with him before the final to secure him. And then that went down to public vote. Will Young won. And it was like, oh, okay, well, fine. I guess you can sign with us now. He goes, no. And he went off and signed, I think, with Universal down the road. On better terms. And that never happened again, as you can imagine, because Simon Cowell locked them all in. But it was that, like, McLaren behind Lando, he's Gareth Gates. And Oscar Piastri, they don't kind of want him to win. But I don't know why not. I mean, he's on fire half the time, but always saying, let Lando through, let Lando through.
Yeah.
It's not... It's like when Bottas used to do it with Hamilton. It's kind of cheating in a way, isn't it?
Do you know what? We haven't seen this team rivalry, since, I'd say, Hamilton-Rosberg 2016. But you also need to cast your mind back to Hungary 2024, when Lando was told to let Piastri through for his maiden win. And that didn't sit comfortably with Lando, didn't sit comfortably with me either. Of course, as a Brit, I will always support the British driver. And I think Piastri is a brilliant driver, but I don't think he's the finished article. I think this year we need to see Lando as a finished article, and I think it's the only fair thing to do. But I also do think that Webber will pull Piastri into another team if they do that. Because I think he's cutthroat. And remember, Webber experienced this exactly as teammate to Sebastian Vettel, where he was made to step aside. What was the code word? Can you remember? Multi 20 21, multi 21, Seb. Multi 21, he
what
said
it
in the debrief
was?
room. Yeah. And, it was massive back in the day, early 2010s. And it's history repeating itself again, really. And Mark
It's
Webber
not a
never won a
nice.
championship.
Well, here's the number 2. Even Tom Cruise brought it up when they were promoting Top Gun Maverick. They're going around the track, and he was taking the mick out of him. So, I think they need to get it in order pretty soon. I mean, you got Mexico, which is the next race.
It's this weekend. It's coming up. Thick
I was
and
trying
fast now, Joe.
I was trying not to timestamp it, Darren.
Oh, well, mate, I've done it now, mate.
This is why I'm the host. This is why
I know. I get too excited.
It's all that side of the world at the moment, so it's a bit late night for us. But look, they need to get this done before Mexico because they've only got a handful of races. 5 races left? You got Mexico,
exactly.
Brazil, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi.
That's the one. Now, hold on. Mexico, Brazil,
1, 2, 3. Oh, Vegas.
Forgetting
Vegas.
Qatar, Abu Dhabi. Yes. So I want to go back to Monza's result, Joe. And I said this. Remember this, okay? Max Verstappen wins it, okay? The start of his resurgence. Lando's second, Oscar is third. Now then, we've got 5 races left. Let's say Max wins all of them, Lando finishes second, and Oscar finishes third. Now we've got a couple of sprint races to go as well in Brazil and Qatar. But if the result happens, there will be 1 point between all 3 drivers for Abu Dhabi. Imagine that. Work that out, mate. How mouth-watering is that idea?
I think we need to be in Abu Dhabi for this race. It's going to be a good one.
Obviously, that it needs the stars to align to work that, and I've got to be totally honest with you. I just want to see Lando.
We'll see. Yeah,
I
might
win in Qatar.
Harbour. Yeah, exactly. Talking about kind of resurgences of Max. Another resurgence we're kind of hearing about is that Christian Horner may be returning to F1. Now, it's all rumors at the moment. Nothing's confirmed. It's all speculation, which we love to speculate and make predictions. We do. And we're not often wrong. We're pretty good. So in his contract, he actually took a reduced payment exit agreement so that he could return to the grid sooner. And the $64,000 question is, where would he go? Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard such outlandish things that he could go to Mercedes because Toto wants to step back. He owns the team, and then there's Christian. I can't see that happening at all.
With the whole journey of Christian and Toto over now nearly 2 decades, how on earth could Christian work for Toto? Forget it.
Haas, I don't think they could afford him.
No.
Alpine, they've renewed their commitment to Formula One, and I think it could be probable because they were one of really decent team principal. However, are they going to splash the cash? And the thing with Christian Horner is that when he was with Red Bull, he wasn't a team owner. Toto Wolff has a stake in the team.
Yes, he does. Yes.
So I think Christian would want to go somewhere where A, he's going to get paid really well. B, it's kind of like based in the UK, so I can't see a Ferrari thing happening, although you may disagree. So Alpine could work, but he would need a stake in the team and he'll need to be paid a lot of money, which brings me to my prediction. My prediction is he'll go to Aston Martin. Gaydon, down the road from Silverstone and the whole motorsport heartland. I'm sure he probably lives around there as well. And, this is Lawrence Stroll, as we've always said, will do anything to make it the best team. He's already got Adrian Newey there, who Horner knows well. I don't know if they're good together, if they still talk, maybe. So I reckon Aston Martin, and because they've sold shares already to Saudi and other investors, they could give him a slice of the pie, and he could reinvigorate that team. And Aston Martin are in trouble financially. The actual car division, the road car division, they're basically paying people to take the cars off them. They are burning through so much cash. It's like McLaren a few years ago. So that's my prediction. Horner to Aston Martin.
Well, Joe, just going back on that a little bit. Mercedes, forget it. Ferrari, you're talking about my mate Fred here. I think he's doing a great job still. They nearly won the Constructors' Championship last year. You know, they're still there and could come second this year. I still think that is consolidation with Lewis settling in, new regulations next year. Forget Christian Horner to Ferrari. It's nonsense.
But do you think Lewis would want Horner because he had all that success? He knows what it's like to win.
I think Lewis is at Ferrari because of Fred Vasseur, because he was his team principal in Formula 2. I think that's the reason. So I think, forget all that. Do I think I could see Christian Horner with Newey at Aston Martin? I've seen Stranger Things. I haven't seen Stranger Things. I've never watched it, but I've seen Stranger Things happen. I don't think that is out of the question. I don't think he'd go to Alpine or Haas. He could, but I think there is one other option as well. In the same way that our friend Otmar is trying to get a 12th team on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
What about Christian appearing in a new team?
Are we talking about the Cadillac team?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about a 12th team. Cadillac are the 11th team that come in 2026.
Oh, you're not talking about Audi?
Audi are Sauber, so they're still the 10th team.
Yeah. So a 12th team. So bringing a new team in where he would have control, he'd have shares, and whoever it is, do we know who it could be?
I don't know. I'd have to look into it. But I just think it's the sort of thing that Christian could make happen because of his connections, because of where he's at, the fact he never did own anything of Red Bull. I think that would be the most important thing to him. I think you're right about shares. Do I see Lawrence giving away a slice of the pie, in your words? I'm not convinced. It's the only thing that would attract Horner because of the Toto Horner battle over the years. I think it's a good shout, Joe. I think it's a good shout. So I'm going for a 12th team. You're going for Aston Martin. Let's put a tenner on it and we'll see what comes out.
Tenner, done. Deal. And I've just researched it and it looks like he's going for a 12th team. So brilliant. That's the easiest tenner.
Anyway, mate, I'm not doing any research here. All I've got on my other screen is now the driver standings in this wonderful championship with Max only 40 points behind when he was 104 points. That's 60 points in 4 races he's gained on Oscar. Yeah. What momentum is that going into the last 5 races? Lando is only 14 points behind. Mate, that's just 2 second-place sprints, let alone anything in the races.
It's going to make such an exciting end to this season. This is what we want to see. And this is what the regulation changes were about all those years ago that everyone was moaning about. Yeah. It's making it tighter. It's making it better. I mean, we had Carlos Sainz on the podium recently. You know, I mean...
We had Hulkenberg on the podium at Silverstone as well.
Yeah.
You know, like
this is cool.
This is what everybody's wanted. So what do we do when everybody gets what they want? Let's change it all again for 2026. It's stupid.
Yeah, it is a bit silly. I don't know what's going to happen next year.
But
I know it's significant. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens every time, Joe. There's always a dominant team at a regulation change. We saw it with Red Bull and Verstappen. Sorry, Red Bull and Vettel. We saw it with Mercedes and Hamilton. We saw it with Red Bull and Verstappen. What we're going to see, we don't know next, but everything's got tighter. You know, we've seen 3 different constructors win. It'd be lovely to see a Ferrari win again before the end of the season. You know, I know it's, you know, it could happen. There's nothing to say. But right now, the odds on are Max first, Lando second, Piastri third in every race, and we see them all with 1 point. It's ridiculous. It could happen.
It could happen. It could happen. One thing I've got to say, we're not going to see is Max going to Mercedes anytime soon because George Russell and Antonelli actually renewed their contracts.
And quite rightly so. Yeah, quite rightly so, mate. I think that's the right decision. Antonelli is bedding in. Give him, they've given him the chance. Now they've got to allow him time, which sadly Jack Doohan was not given this season. I thought he was treated really poorly. Liam Lawson, same deal. Has Yuki done any better? Has Colapinto done any better?
Well, I think Isaac Hadjar is going to take Yuki's seat.
Well, I think you're probably right, but as
Yeah.
long as that car is drivable, and we're now seeing Yuki finish ahead of the RBs now for the last few races, and that's better for him. But what I would say is I think Colapinto's had a terrible season at Alpine. However, driver orders, Joe. Did you see the last 5 laps of COTA, or were you fast asleep in your bed at this
I
point?
was fast asleep. No, of course. Yeah, go on. Pray tell.
So we'd like so there was Gasly, Colapinto, and then Bortoletto behind them, all at the back, like last 3 cars. And Colapinto was told to hold station, hold your place, team orders. Yeah, right. And he overtook Gasly, and he went for it as well. Proper attacked him and ignored team orders. The guy's fighting for his drive for 2026. It's a similar thing to last year when he took Sargent's drive in the Williams and was fighting for that, and then obviously lost it to Carlos Sainz. Good on him. These team orders are a joke sometimes, and he's the one driving it. Gasly was too slow. He was going to get done by Bortoletto if he stayed where he was. However, so they're fighting over 16th, 17th, 18th or something like that. But the point is, these are races. Driver orders, I'm sorry, it all came in the Michael Schumacher era. It's an absolute load of nonsense. Get rid of it. Come on.
Yeah, well, Nigel Mansell told me that, it's all changed. The guys are basically driving laptops on wheels these days. It's not the same as it was. It was all greasy and dirty and filthy.
That was just the drivers, let alone the cars.
Yeah, that was just Nigel, bless him. A great guy, by the way. But yeah, I agree. These team orders, they're not great for the fans. I get it in strategy if you're trying to, make sure you win a championship. I can understand that. Bottas and Hamilton was famous. Bottas would gracefully let him through a lot. But what's the point? Letting Gasly go ahead of you if you're faster,
When you're fighting at the back of the grid, there is no point. If you're fighting for points, you just need to make sure it's the best thing for the team. We've seen that at McLaren. I remember sitting at Silverstone watching 2023, and suddenly this resurgent McLaren, came onto the podium, and we're like, what's this all about? And it was the start of this new McLaren revolution. And they have managed their drivers equally, even though we've already said today Piastri's in his 3rd season, Lando's in his 7th. There's more experience there. Lando should clearly be the number 1 driver. But let them fight it out. But it's when they start taking points off each other and let Max Verstappen in is where the problem's going to be. If they let Max into this title, then McLaren will only have themselves to blame for not doing team orders. So I think there's a time and a place, Joe, and it's when there's a consequence to it. When you're favouring one driver just because he's, Prost, Senna is always the example that everybody will go to, whether it's contractual. And again, we've referred to Mark Webber being Piastri's manager and putting the pressure on McLaren to make Piastri equal number 1 status. I get it. We want to see 2 drivers fighting at the front to win the constructors. We then want to see those 2 drivers fight it to win the championship, to have more people in the mix. I just think it's when it's for the sake of it. The whole Max thing, he will win in that team no matter who his teammate is. It was with Lewis as well, other than the Rosberg year. It was with Vettel. I don't like it at all. But it is because it's a Schumacher thing that came in when he went to Ferrari, and it was a contractual thing. It's rubbish, mate, because then you've got 20 cars and only 10 of them can win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true, and it's all about the points, because the points make prizes, makes money, and McLaren are safe. They've won the constructors this year. It's now the fight for 2nd and 3rd with that, but the real fight now is on for the drivers' championship. And Max has come away from this weekend thinking, do you know what? I think I've got the juice. You see him walking around, he's prowling like a panther. He's got the confidence, and we have to see what he's got in the tank for next week in Mexico. Mexico is the next race, and as we said before, we've got the North and South Americas, Brazil, Las Vegas is always fun, Qatar, and then finishing in Abu Dhabi. And we may have a surprise episode near the end of the season. Do you have any shout outs at all, Darren?
Well, no, the only thing that springs to mind from a shout-out point of view, Joe, and you alluded to it a minute ago when you went to an event with Nigel Mansell talking. Yeah. And you sent me a photo of you and your new Formula One mate, Nigel Mansell. He's the reason, but he's not the reason, he's sort of the reason I'm into Formula One. Derek Warwick and Nigel Mansell were the British drivers at the time and the ones I followed. Derek Warwick's the reason I watched Formula One because I sat in his car, but Nigel Mansell was my first British world champion that I supported. So whenever I think of nostalgic Formula One, it's Nigel Mansell in the FW13B, I think it was, with the red 5 on his. It's, for me, that's still the best car. When I think of Formula One, it's his car with him in it that I think of. But Joe, my shout out is to the moustache you grew in honour of Nigel Mansell. That's my shout out today. It made me I couldn't tell which one was which, Joe.
It was cheeky.
It was
in the right light. In the right light, actually. Yeah, we did look like long lost cousins. He was very gracious. I did tell him I grew it, and I think he kind of like nodded, and yeah, because it's probably happened he's bumped into stag dudes all dressed as him or something. I don't know. Something's happened.
or 1,000 masks of his face with eyes cut in.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
When you said about bumped into, I'll always love the Murray Walker interview when Nigel Mansell had a massive great bump on his head, bruise, and Murray went and said, "Oh, this one here," and then ended up jabbing it, and putting a Formula One driver in pain. And silly little anecdotes, Joe, of what makes Formula One what it is today. Nigel Mansell was a huge part of that.
He's a great guy, and he's a very kind, generous guy for doing the charity event. So well done to Nigel, and well done to you guys for sitting through our episode after all these weeks. Thank you for your support. We will be back next time with our roundup, reviews and news, and lots of gossip and speculation, which is always the thing with us. But from now, it's goodbye from me, Joe Lee.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Take care.